You're listening to the What's the Fuzz podcast, where we break you out of your vacuum seal and get down to what's real. Never miss another episode again. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. And now, your host, Reiner.
Hello, y'all. It's your pal Reiner, your favorite draconian podcast host. Welcome to another episode of What's the Fuzz? And thanks so much for tuning in, whether it's your first time or your 100th time. It's October 19th, and we're certainly in some scary times with the election drawing ever closer. Today I'm joined by Tsuko.
Hello.
And we're going to get to talking about furries and self-image. If you don't know Tsuko, they're always doing a cool new dance or fun video on TikTok. You can catch them over on Twitter at Tsuko Korea. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Hey, thank you for having me. This is great.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be dope as hell. Hey, I got an icebreaker question for you. You ready for it?
Oh, I'm all set.
Sweet. So what's your hottest take when it comes to food?
Parmesan cheese is good.
What is with you and the Parmesan cheese?
What?
That's not even a hot take. People like it on lasagna and stuff.
Well, I know, except whenever I say Parmesan, some people are just like, ew, you like Parmesan? And I'm like, yes. Hello?
No. The issue would be like if you liked ricotta cheese. Like, that is literally only good in lasagna. Like, ugh.
Ricotta's okay. I'm not a big fan of it.
It is the definition of okay.
It really is. But if you want a really hot take, I'm going to have to say that pineapple on pizza is not as bad as people think.
Alright. I think I can accept that one. Honestly, I think that's alright.
I mean, like, would I eat it every day? No, but I don't think it's that bad to the point where people just like, if you eat it, you're a sinner.
Now that's out of the way, we can get to the meat of the interview.
Alrighty.
So, my listeners and I would like to get to know you a little bit more. How old are you? What's your ethnicity? What do you do for work? Are you going to school? And where do you live?
Does it have to be in that order?
No.
Alright, well, hello. I am 20 years old. I am Korean ethnicity. I go by any pronouns. I currently live in Annapolis, Maryland. And as of right now for school, I'm not really doing school at the moment. I'm just taking a gap year, just trying to make some money and save up. If I do decide to go back, that's just a just in case to have the money saved up.
Fair enough. What's your main Fursona?
Right now I only have one, which is a red panda with, yeah, that's basically, it's just a red panda.
Aw, so cute. It's got the trans hair, though.
That is true, and when I made it, I unintentionally did it because someone pointed it out, saying, you know, your Sona's hair kind of has the trans colors, and I'm like, wow.
Wait, did you not notice that's literally the trans flag
I
in its
literally
hair?
didn't.
I was like, damn, this guy's really about trans rights.
I mean, I'm all for trans rights, but when I made the Sona, I had no idea.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. And what's your sexuality?
I am pansexual.
Panda?
I'm a panda.
I should go to jail for that. So, how do you relate to your Fursona? Do you feel like it's easier to express yourself through them, whether creatively or sexually?
In a sense, yes. Basically, he's the more Asian version of me.
How does that work?
Well, you know, when I made him, I wanted to incorporate, you know, my ethnicity and things that I like into one Sona. So he's basically like the other half of me, but he's much better than me in every way. You know, like he's a lot more athletic, knows how to talk to people better than I do. I would also say he enjoys going outside a lot more than I do on some days.
I don't know. I think you're doing pretty good at the talking to people thing.
Thank you. Well, hopefully I can get over this situation where I don't say every sentence.
It's a work in progress for everyone. Trust me. So what's your biggest cultural influence that you've put into him?
I'd have to say Korean culture. especially with the clothes, because the one picture that I have has like has joggers and a jacket that have the Korean flag symbols all over.
Hmm.
So there's Hangul written all over them. Hangul is the text, like text version of the Korean language.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just a dumb American. I don't know anything. That's really cool.
I don't, I don't, I don't really. If anything, I grew up in America, so if anything, I'm pretty dumb too.
Fair. I mean, I'm not agreeing with you. I'm just acknowledging your response. That's all.
You know what? I'll take it.
What else would you like to incorporate into him in the future from those Korean aspects?
Hmm. That's a hard question. For a while, I have been considering just doing like a redesign of him altogether,
Hmm.
but I decided to scrap that. I'm mainly just thinking about what to do with the hair. I want to keep the colors, but like different hairstyle, kind of thing.
Going all out with the anime hair, huh? I see.
Either that or the K-pop hair.
Ah, that's a good one. I do like K-pop hair.
You know what? I think I think Koreans know how to style their hair. I do not.
What was your first exposure to the furry fandom?
Believe it or not, I found out through Vine back when it was alive.
The heck?
I was just scrolling through one of my friend's pages and I just see a fursuit and I'm like, what is that? That's weird, but I'm intrigued. And the more and more I got into it, the more and more I'm just like, this is actually this is actually kind of cool. And I didn't even know there were conventions for them. So the more and more I watched and whatnot, the more and more I got interested about what the fandom was.
So people dressed up in big animal costumes actually got you interested in the furry fandom.
In 6-second short videos, yes.
Damn. That's powerful stuff.
It really was, because I thought they were just like the coolest and cutest things I have ever seen.
Was there anything about it that you regretted?
I discovered what E621 was.
Wow. Was that like immediately after or
I'd say maybe a month or two after.
Dude, okay. You move fast. All right. I
It wasn't my
understand
fault.
though.
So it wasn't my fault because I commented because someone was talking about E621 on one of their vines, and I commented saying, "What's E621?" And then someone said, "Oh no."
Oh no.
So little old me decided I'm gonna go Google it. Worst mistake of my life. Worst.
And how old were you at the time again?
Like 15.
Okay, 15. I was hoping that you weren't 12, but I felt like it was going to be reasonably young.
Still pretty young. Let's just take that.
Ah. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah, it is what it is.
When you think of the furry community as a whole, where do you see yourself fitting into it?
I'd have to align myself with other dancers most likely. Mainly because when I went to my first ever con, the first friends I made were dancers, and we just shared a love for dancing, and we just kind of just did our thing at the raves and around the con. In fact, I carried a mini speaker with me just in case anyone wanted to dance. But I have been getting interested in the art community more, mainly because one of my partners is an artist, and I just think people drawing is like one of the hardest things to do.
So you got like a respect for it.
Major respect for artists.
Were there any other avenues you were wanting to branch out into?
As of right now, no, but if I come down the line to it, most definitely yes.
How do you feel about the music choices that are in the furry raves at the cons?
Oh, let me tell you. Um, we just need more variety, if we're honest. I'm, I mean, sure, EDM is nice and whatnot, but I'm tired of just hearing that. I would love some trap, some drum and bass, some hip hop, some funk, trance, moon dance, whatever. You, I just would like a little more variety when it comes to the dances.
Yeah, that seems to be a pretty large part of the contention surrounding the raves. As far as the people that have come on the show to talk to me about it have expressed, there's basically just music that you bounce around to, not necessarily dance to at the raves. And that really rubs people the wrong way.
Yes, it doesn't really rub me the wrong way. It's just I would just like some more variety because sure you can dance to it, but at the same time, it would be nice to have tracks that were like made for dancing.
Do you feel like it would be a big step in changing the feel of the cons?
Most definitely, I believe it'll bring more people to it.
Do you often feel people assume things about you inside the fandom or out, and that affects their perception one way or the other?
Kind of, I would say yes, especially when it comes to floor wars.
What is
Ma-
that?
Floor wars is the fandom's dance battles. So you could have one on one or teams versus teams, and they just dance it out to the top.
I didn't know dancing in the fandom was so competitive.
Well, it's not really competitive because they were made for fun, but when it comes to dancing, I'm a really competitive and aggressive dancer. So instead of like most people when they battle, they always like, clap for the other team and whatnot. Then you see me, I will be throwing burns, I will be throwing shade, I'll just be a bit obnoxious, but to me that's the street culture I'm comfortable with.
So you've got a big personality on you.
A little bit. I'm not egotistical. I just enjoy just that letting out that raw aggression.
So do people just assume you're a dickhead then? Or
Um, I remember one comment I got after FWA's Floor Wars, after I lost in
Mhm.
the top 8. Someone said, "Why are you such an asshole when you dance?"
That's not something I thought I'd hear today.
But most people think I'm like really like mean, really, like I like they assume that the dance style that I do or the battle style that I do is how I am outside, which I personally believe is not true.
Damn. Just stomping on them.
I stomp them on the dance floor, but then I go buy them lunch or something.
That's a pretty good way of making up for it.
The number one thing that I always cling on is respect. Always shake hands and hug your opponent before and after to make sure, this is just a battle. I hold nothing against you, but, you know, I'm gonna beat you or stuff like that.
Yeah, like a rap battle. You just make out with the person before and after.
Yes.
What was it like growing up in your household?
Well, it was different, mainly because I'm adopted from South Korea. So my parents are Caucasian. I have a Caucasian older sister. I have a younger sister who is also Korean, and I have two brothers who are Filipino. So growing up, it was different, but I wouldn't say so different to the point where we're not a normal family.
What do you think separated you the most from the other families that lived around you in your neighborhood?
Well, if I'm being honest, our family was the only one to have people of color in their family. I grew up in a very uh, forgive me, but I grew up in a very white neighborhood. So being surrounded by Caucasians was what saw as normal. But the more and more I grew, I just kind of wanted some more diversity in both my neighborhood and my friend group, and I'm glad that's happened now.
What sparked that longing inside of you for that?
If I'm being honest, when I was younger, I was not the most nicest person around. I yeah, I did some things I'm not happy or proud of when I was younger. You know how you go through like that stupid teenager phase. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was me. I said some things I'm not happy about. Did some things I'm not proud of. So I'm just trying to turn a new leaf.
So you said those things to BIPOC people?
Unfortunately, yes.
So you're
And
trying to make amends now
yes,
and gain perspective?
yes.
Hmm.
Because nowadays, I, instead of, you know, being like, oh, diversity is weird, I try to embrace it as much as I can.
What was the hardest aspect of that to overcome for you personally?
It was just realizing how much of a dick I was being. You know, I was saying all these nasty things and I was just generalizing people. But, once I got to high school, that's when I realized, you know, no, not all bi POC people are like that. I don't know why I'm doing that. So it was around high school when I met two guys. I'll leave their names out of it, but one was Hispanic and one was black.
Mm-hmm.
And, instead of, because they heard me drop the N word to one of my friends, and then they pulled me aside, and instead of like, coming at me with full aggression, they just wanted to educate me on the words I was saying. It was after that when I was taken aback by the perspective that they laid out for me. Instead of me just being like, "Oh, it's just a word," I was like, "Wow, I never thought of it like that." So from then on, I just strive to just change, uh, change from my old ways. I want to be as nice of a person as I can.
Do you think you ever would have had that revelation if it wasn't for those two guys in high school?
Absolutely not. I feel like I might have changed a little bit, but at the same time, I don't think it would have been as impactful as it was without those two.
That's just showing what a compassionate person that's willing to take the time out and explain things to someone can do to
Absolutely.
strengthen a community.
Absolutely.
When someone's speaking out of a place of ignorance, sometimes you may feel the need to ravish them and just fucking dunk on them super hard, but what if that person just doesn't understand? Like, if someone is talking about BLM as a terrorist organization, first of all, calling it like an organization already sets the red flags in my head. Like, hey, maybe this person doesn't know what's going on, and they've been lied to by the media,
Mm.
and they're the kind of person that's worth taking aside. Someone that's deep into QAnon, though, maybe not so much.
Mm. Probably not, no.
It's just a good time to pick your battles, so to speak.
Mhm. But if someone were to just be misinformed, instead of just, lashing out in anger, could be like, just come to them with open arms saying, hey, I heard you say this. Would you like to talk about it? Just have like this friendly warmness to it, not just be like, "Oh, you said that? Well, fuck you." Don't do that.
Exactly.
Although I'm guilty of doing that sometimes.
We're only human. We can only do what we have the capacity for, and sometimes it does reach a limit.
Mm-hmm. I agree wholeheartedly.
Do your family and friends know that you're a furry?
My friends do. Uh, if you mean my normie friends, then yes, they do, because I always post stuff or text them stuff whenever I'm at a convention. As for my parents, my mom kind of knows. My dad just doesn't care. My siblings also don't really care, although my little sister always wants to tag along.
That's so wholesome.
I keep telling her, I don't know if you should do that. I'm gonna be doing some things that I don't think you would like. Like, for instance, she doesn't like that I drink or vape. She doesn't like that.
Oh, damn. That's rough going for a fur con.
I know. And I'm just like, are you sure? Do you not know what I do there? And she's just like, I don't care.
Maybe if we have a fluffy convention, then we could do it.
If it was a fluffy convention, I would take her. I would.
What would you have done if they hadn't accepted it, or if they wanted to kick you out for being a furry or whatever?
Um, I don't know. Well, if I did come out and be like, "Hi, I'm a furry," and they're just like, "Ew." Well, in all honesty, that stuff doesn't really phase me. But as for kicking out, that's a tough one right there. But
Because you're one of those dirty, horny sex freaks that wants to fucking have sex with a dead raccoon's head. Obviously.
oh god, oh yeah, oh god,
Oh, beep beep.
oh BB. But if I'm being honest, I kind of don't like the term coming out as a furry because
Mm-hmm.
being a furry is just a hobby. It's not something you're born with. Like, you're not born as a furry. Like you're not born as a furry, and but you are born as your sexuality. So for me, I don't really like that term. That's just me though.
Fair. Though the counter I always use for that is how closely being a furry is tied to queerness and queer culture. If you are saying that you're a furry, you're basically saying that you are 97% gonna be queer in some capacity. And I think that's what it's tied to mostly.
Okay, you know what? I can accept that. I never thought of it like that.
And on that note, do your family know that you're open?
Yes, I came out to them when I was 18.
How'd it go?
My mom, as usual, didn't care. She was just like, "Oh, I knew for a while." My dad,
Damn.
and I'm like, "Oh, well, thanks, mom." As for my dad, you see, I was more scared coming out to my dad because he identifies as a Republican.
I see.
But you know, when I came out, he said, "You know what? Let's go get dinner together," and we did. And basically, he just asked me questions. Like, "Oh, well, how did you find out?" or "How did you know?" Just like they were harmless. He was just genuinely curious about how I kind of figured out the puzzle that I'm not straight.
That's so wholesome. More fruitful conversations between unlikely minds, eh?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
but he's not like a hardcore Republican. Like, he believes that marriage should be for anyone. He's more conservative when it comes to like economy and whatnot.
What do you think is unique to the Asian experience in the furry fandom? People mistaking you for Chinese even though you're clearly Korean is one I've already seen.
Yep. That is probably one of the most asked questions I get.
Mm-hmm.
But as a whole, I don't think me being Asian changes much. Although, of course, you do come across some ignorant people. Like, I remember one time, last MFF, I was waiting for my friends in the lobby. And, I don't know, this one, like, drunk dude, I guess? I don't know, he looked drunk. And, it was just like, oh, ching chong, ting tong. And I'm like, excuse me, what?
Oh my god. Who does that? And why is it so common?
That's
Jesus.
You see, this is the thing I always tell people is that, like, ignorance and racism towards Asians is so normalized that when Asians speak out against it, people will say it's just a joke.
It is ridiculous.
My God.
If I had someone like fucking yodeling ching chong bing bongs at me like every other day as a quote unquote joke, I would lose my fucking mind. I would be like, okay, you're so funny. Hey, go fuck yourself.
Most of the time, I just kind of roll my eyes because
Jesus.
I'm like so numb to it because I've heard it so much growing up that at this point I'm just like, oh, well, there you go, another asshole.
There it goes.
Although, not gonna lie, I did get kind of heated one time.
Do you mean recently?
Kind of recently. I went to a Black Lives Matter protest. And, there were some Trump, like people who are against Black Lives Matter just on the other side. So I was just standing there with my sign, and then this one dude just walks up and just starts spitting, like saying every single Asian slur there is.
Jeez.
So he's like, oh, you chink, gook, Jap,
Damn.
Not gonna lie, I was really heated. Like, I would have started throwing hands. But one guy who saw me get heated just kind of pulled me away from it, so that way I wouldn't have to hear it.
What an asshole, dude.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. So, is there anything you've learned about yourself through your experiences in the furry fandom?
Not everyone is gonna like you, and that's okay. But those who do like you, make sure that you always put them over yourself, because you shouldn't use people as for clout. You should use them, well, not really use them, that's a bad term. You should have them around because you genuinely like them, not because they have a big following on Twitter.
Yeah, this is something that I keep seeing going around with the big Twitter accounts and everything. Furries seem to put a lot of social energy into being popular.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like being stuck in high school forever. It's a little strange.
This kind of feels like high school, if I'm being honest.
Just perpetual high school culture. But everybody's wearing dog suits, hooray, or red panda suits or whatever.
They're wearing a giant carpet around school. Some people have lanyards, some have collars, you name it.
No, I wouldn't have mind going to that kind of school. But that's just me.
I mean, I'd be down. I'd go for like a semester.
Hey y'all, looks like you're in pretty deep. Just wanted to let you know that you can follow us over on Twitter at whatsthefuzz_, and make sure to subscribe to us wherever you're listening. I hella suggest Pocket Cast to do so, and that way you'll be able to download the newest episodes as soon as they are posted. Alright, that's all I wanted to say. On with the show. What do you think it speaks to that people are so focused on the follower count, though?
I don't know. To me, it's just kind of shallow. I don't really think you should just join the fandom just because you want to get clout. Like, I joined in because I was genuinely curious about what this thing was. And some other people join for that family aspect, because you know how furries are always pretty friendly to each other.
So you think people just jump in straight up just to get popular and have attention on them?
I feel like some people do, especially when they get a suit. I don't know. I've seen some questionable things from suitors. Like, it's like once they get a suit, then like all common sense sometimes just goes in one ear, out the other.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you there.
It's a bit annoying, but at the same time, what can you do?
That's true. So, how would you describe the mental strain of having to deal with ignorance in the furry
Well,
fandom?
by ignorance, do you mean like ignorance from people on the outside, or internalized ignorance from like people within the community?
Both.
Oh, okay. Um, I don't know. From the outside, when people say like, "Oh, furries are just, like, oh, the dog fuckers, they like have sex with animals." I don't know. To me, that doesn't faze me. Mainly because, I mean, sure, yes, I consider myself a furry, but at the same time, I don't get heated about that, if I'm being honest.
Mm.
But I do know some people do. So honestly, I just take it as, people are just generalizing, generalizing the community as a whole because of the actions of a few. But as for ignorance within, that's when I start to get heated, especially when it comes to topic about like racism, racial ignorance, and whatnot. That's that's just the way I see it, though. I feel like because the fandom is so big when it comes to non POC people, that when issues regarding POC happen, you know instead of like most people just like hopping on board and just taking it seriously, some just refuse to talk about it, especially if they have a big platform. That's just me, so
Do you feel ignored?
sometimes, but it doesn't phase me. But for other people, where it does like irk them, then I will step up, just be like, guys, you gotta do a better job. They're trying to save money to pay their bills and whatnot, but you guys will have no problem donating to someone just because they want to get it first.
Isn't that crazy?
It
People
really is.
are donating so much money to people because they want to have them keep their fursuits or get
It
them a fursuit or
Stuff like
art,
that.
superficial things. And trust me, there's plenty of GoFundMe's going around, donation pages going around for people that can't pay their bills right now because of
Mhm.
this damn ass corona. But sometimes those superficial things just take precedent.
For real, it's like one person. I remember seeing two different polls at two different times. One from one of my friends who wanted to he set up a GoFundMe to help his mom after surgery, and then I saw another one saying like, I just need new fur for my fursuit. Guess which one had more money in it?
Don't tell me the fur.
Bingo.
Damn, what the hell?
That's what I was saying.
I can't believe that shit, dude.
I was livid.
I'm thinking it's because of the mutually beneficial part of it. Like they're giving them money so they can see more of their fursuit or something.
Yeah,
That
except
might be it.
but one person is gonna go homeless and the other one just getting fur.
Man, when you put it that way, it sounds kind of silly.
Yeah.
Imagine that. So, what is it about dancing that interests you? What got you started, and how far do you want to go with it?
I started after watching a movie, actually. uh, I saw Step Up 3 in 2010,
Mm-hmm.
and there was this one guy who was moving like a robot, and I was like, whoa, I want to do that. And I looked up, dance videos on YouTube and would just try to copy the moves until I got to a point where I felt like I got the foundations down, and then I decided to start branching out into trying to find my own style. But as for how far I want to take it, my goal is to compete at dance battles outside the fandom, both nationally and international, once I get my skill level up in styles such as crump, popping, breakdancing, or b-boying, and locking.
What is b-boy?
B-boying is the mainstream term is breakdance. So it's like when people spin on their heads, like spin on one hand.
You can do that?
I wish.
Okay, I was getting my hopes up a little bit there. I was like, damn, this guy can spin on his head. This is so cool.
I can like do like a freeze on my head, which is a freeze is basically like when you balance.
You like spread your arms out, right?
Yeah, it's like you spread your arms out. You're like do like a one-handed handstand with your legs apart, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's badass as hell, dude. Nice.
I can do those, but I can't spin on my head. In fact, I can't even do a headstand.
Did you ever struggle with your self-image?
All the time. Like, I always struggle with how I look, especially now, because I try to go to the gym because I'm trying to lose weight, especially around my face. Because I always think my chubby cheeks are, I'm really insecure about my face. How about that?
They don't look that chubby to me.
I don't know. That's just me. My
Do you
boy,
think that TikTok has helped at all?
I think it has. Because when people always, because I always make random TikToks, and some people are just like, "Oh my god, you would look so cute in that," or like, "Oh my god, look at your chubby cheeks, are so cute," and it makes me just like, do people like it?
Of course, of course.
Every
There's
time
always your most underrated aspects can be someone's most cherished. Absolutely.
yeah, my boyfriends always say that.
You see?
I always say like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna lose weight. I think I'm too fat around the face," and then, uh, then my partner would just be like, "Absolutely not. You are beautiful. God damn." And I'm like, "Okay, don't yell at me. God, don't."
What do you think contributed to your issues with the self-image?
Well, I wasn't really the most athletic or popular kid, growing up in school. Like I had no problem talking to people when I was younger, but at the same time, I never really was anyone's best friend. You know,
True.
I was like that one guy in the friend group that is just in the friend group, but no one really talks to, kind of deal.
Oh, you were like a floater.
Yeah, I
Ah.
I never really found like my group growing up. So I just thought, is it because I'm ugly? Is it because I'm a bigger person or stuff like that? And like I said, I only made one friend growing up, and she is still my best friend as of today.
Aw. That's
she's
so
not
sweet.
she's not a furry, but she sees it and she's just like, "Hey, are you gonna go to that?" And then I'm like, "Maybe," and she's like, "All right, cool, have fun." And she's
Oh, that's really nice of her.
It is.
So it's just these small things that compounded into this like one big "is it me" kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's only now starting to come down a little bit.
A little bit. But, I still struggle with things sometimes. Especially when it's small things, when, like, it should be harmless, right? But, like, you just take it the wrong way kind of thing. Like,
What advice would you give someone going through something similar?
if you ever feel like people don't like you for who you are, then I don't think you found the right people. Because there are people out there who will love and cherish you no matter what. And it is possible to find that group. Sometimes it'll just take a little bit of time, but it is possible.
Was there ever a moment where you felt being a furry wasn't worth it or you wanted to find something else?
Not, um, hmm. I wouldn't say like just drop. I wouldn't say like I would just suddenly drop it, but there have been
Mm-hmm.
times where I'm just like, I don't know why I am one. But when stuff like that happens, I just get reminded, I've made some great friends in this fandom. In fact, I wouldn't have the confidence to dance in front of people if I didn't join the fandom.
Without the fandom, then you wouldn't be on TikTok dancing?
Probably not, no.
Damn, that cuts deep, man.
It really does. Because, like, normally when I dance, I always get shy around other people. Because sometimes when I'm at the gym, I try to hope that the yoga room is all empty. And,
Hmm.
and then when people come in, I just decide to, like, stop dancing and just stretch.
Felt. I feel it.
Because I'm always like, what if they're secretly judging me? Just going, what is he doing?
Yeah. It's funny though, because usually people just are too interested in their own goings on in their head to really notice what's going on around them. That's why when people wave to me when I'm out and about, I literally never notice because I'm just thinking about myself and not looking around me at all. So they're just waving at me, and someone has to tell me that they're doing that.
It's moments like that where I'm always just like, oh, how did I miss that,
Exactly, exactly. Just pretend that everyone just lacks the awareness, just like you and I do, and we'll be fine.
You know what? I will do that next time I go to the gym.
Exactly. I'm
Which
sure
will,
that you could just like take your shirt off and they wouldn't even notice. Not that I'm suggesting that or anything.
you know
I'm
what?
just
I'm gonna change into a whole new set of clothes while I'm there.
feel free. Just put it on XTube and monetize it.
You know
Anyways.
what? Bet. Money's money. I got it.
Hey, you're right about that. You're right about that. What is something that is a subtle part of Korean culture you wish you could share with everyone?
The language, honestly. I'm not fluent in Korean. I only know like how to say hello. I know how to count to 10, but I wish to be fluent so that way I could like kind of teach people about the language and whatnot. Because a lot of people say like, "Oh, all Asian languages sound the same,"
No, they don't.
They don't. Like, they really don't.
I don't know. Maybe I've been watching too much Asian YouTube or something, but they don't sound the same to me.
No, to me, they don't sound anything alike.
Oh, goodness. How do you say hello?
안녕하세요. That's the formal hello.
That's formal.
Yes.
What's the casual?
안녕.
Angyang?
Yes.
Ooh, cool. I'm gonna learn Korean now. Thank you for influencing me.
You're welcome. I got you.
Why are BIPOC only spaces so important to furs of color? How is it different from a white only space?
Mhm. So, with BIPOC furs, myself included, when you're in a surrounding where a lot of people are the majority. So in this instant, for instance, let's say you're by PLC in a lobby that is full of white furries. Sometimes it can make you uncomfortable, especially when you're the only one who's like sticking out. So having like uh being surrounded by other people that share experiences like you can make you feel so much more reassured that you're not alone in doing this. There are other people who do it too that are just like you know and I'm sorry, what was the second part?
How it's different from a white only space.
Now this is where things can get a little bit sensitive.
Go for it. Break the glass.
I don't know, this is just me, but sometimes when they say like, oh yeah, we only have white people in this, that can sound a bit racist. Like when the majority only wants the majority and no one else, like they're just shunning by POC furries from the picture. Wouldn't you agree that that seems a little sus?
It's just straight up racism.
Yeah, it is. I it's not pretty. It can hurt a lot of people's feelings, especially when you wanted to go to that thing. Like, let's say there's a room party, and then you get there, and then someone who's waiting outside is just like, "Oh yeah, sorry, this is only for white people." You'd be like, "Excuse me, what?"
What was the defining moment that you realized that the fandom isn't as open and accepting as it claims to be?
Oh god, when I first joined Twitter, actually.
Felt. Me as well.
No, so I started, like changing my Twitter to a furry Twitter around 2018 ish, and I was following some furries that I personally liked, and the first thing I see was just like, watch out for this person, they did blah 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 blah, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, I was like, Vine lied to me.
One thing after the other after that Vine thing, man. It all comes back to it. You're cursed.
Help.
Yeah, that sounds like good old fashioned furry discourse. You know the reason that we have so many of those is because the same guys keep getting canceled like over and over and over, but they don't leave the fandom. It's really funny, actually.
It's like they say they're gonna leave, but they secretly don't, kind of ordeal.
Yeah, it's like they get a slap on the wrist for 2 weeks, then they're back, then they get outed again, and then they're back. Is
Like
ridiculous.
we really should, like, I don't know, I wish we didn't forgive people who have done terrible things as easy as some people do.
Oh, absolutely. We really need to crack down on that at some point. Probably not anytime soon, but it's a nice thought.
Sometime.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not gonna say names, Kiro, but we really should, learn that, like, this person's a bad person, and unless they change, they're gonna stay a bad person.
In what respects do you think the fandom does live up to the open accepting mantra?
I think we are accepting, but sometimes a little too accepting.
Hmm.
Because, like I'm not saying like we should shun people. I'm not here to do that. I would say like sometimes we just, like we invite everyone in, right? But then like a little down the line, we find out that like the person that we just invited is like a pedophile or something. I don't think that's like the fandom's acceptance fault. I think it's just them trying to show their true colors. Then, you know, that can just bring the whole, the saying one bad apple ruins the whole batch or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, this is basically it.
Just a big sticky situation.
Basically,
What would you like to see be done in the future to make not just fur cons, but also like fur meets and other events more accessible and more diversified in the future?
For cons, I'd say the first step would just to be, diversify the music. So that way it'll bring people like a sense of, you know, they're trying their best to bring in as many people as they want, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say music is the first step. Um, Letting more BIPOC people be um, like guests of honor at conventions, like instead of just having, well-known fursuiters and whatnot be guests of honor. Why not have people of color who have done extravagant work or are unsung heroes, you know? As for fur meets, that I don't know because I've actually never been to one.
Ooh, fake furry. Just
Oh my
kidding.
god, Tsuko canceled 2020.
Was there anything else you wanted to add to that?
Honestly, just diversify the con before people of other ethnicities start to join you. So that way you can accommodate to as many people as you can instead of just appealing to one because they're the majority.
If you change things, they will come.
That's the way I see it. That's change what you can, don't change what doesn't need to be fixed.
So, you're a big supporter of BLM.
Absolutely.
What does BLM mean to you? And why is it important to all POC and not just black people?
We're just tired of systemic racism and police brutality, if we're being honest. It's kind of like the system was made against anyone who wasn't white. And as for the police, they could arrest two people, one being white, one being black, and then it's more likely that the black guy is going to get beat up for something. And that's just, to me, that's that's the sad reality, honestly.
So, you're hoping to support a better reality for all POC?
For everyone, really. Just a
Mm
better system, something that doesn't favor one over the other, something that does everything fairly.
hmm. And
Like,
of course, having a president that called the virus Kung Flu
oh, don't get me started.
definitely.
Don't get me started.
It's definitely did not help things in your neck of the woods when people can't tell the difference between, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't help that I work for like a rich person's like rich person like country club.
Oh no, are you the pool boy?
More like a bus boy, but yeah.
Oh no.
Help. Help.
I'm so sorry.
I would like a GoFundMe started.
No, a GoFundMe for your new fursuit. That's what it's gonna be.
No,
Shh.
it'll say new fursuit, but the description says, "Oh, you thought this was a fursuit? No, I'm just trying to move. No, I'm just
Yeah. When you think of diversity in the furry fandom, what comes to mind first?
dancers." I see a lot. I see recently. I've seen a lot more. Like POC people wanting to learn how to dance. To me, that's wonderful. And there's always been some really strong POC dancers. I mean, hell, my dance crew, we're pretty diverse. Although I will say that like we have too many Asians on our team.
So, last question for you.
All
Well,
right,
second to last, I should say.
all right.
Do you feel as though some rules apply to only you, whereas for others, there are no rules?
I'd say every once in a while I feel like that.
What's one of the moments that really stuck out in your mind?
Well, I wanted to go to like this sushi restaurant for lunch after work one day. So I drove there, and I was waiting in line. And then the lady said it'll be about a 20-minute wait. And I said, okay, I can do that. So I sat down, and then this white woman comes up, and she asked for a table of one as well. And she said, oh, yeah, we have a spot right open. I'm like, wait, what?
How does that make you feel?
I was more annoyed and just angry than anything else.
You get angry a lot.
Look, I'm not... I tend to bottle up my rage, so when I like do like get mad, it just all comes out at once. So like I try to just hide my anger because I don't like being mad in front of people.
I imagine if you'd unleashed your fear, you would have dumped your soy sauce all over that woman.
Oh, I also would have thrown wasabi at her too.
Oh, evil.
Wait! It gets worse. Maybe even like put ginger in her purse or something.
In her purse?
Yes.
That's strange, but alright.
What? So when she reaches in and tries to grab her phone, instead she grabs a bunch of gingers. Look, I'm not good at being evil. Okay.
I mean, blind fury works too, and that's the blindest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'll take it.
Was there anything in this interview you wish I'd asked about?
Honestly, this is kind of how I expected it to go, but at the same time, honestly, I'm pretty content. This was actually lovely.
Yeah, it was really nice talking to you. I feel like I learned a lot about like Asian stuff and like anger stuff and dancing stuff, and it was really cool.
Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me. This was great.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, dude.
Anytime.
I really think I understand what's going on. And hey guys, don't forget to subscribe to us wherever you're listening to us. Follow us on Twitter at @whatsthefuzz_. You got the spot to promote anything you like, Tsuko. Go for it.
Just be good people and support your local businesses, as well as, wear a mask and just be yourself. Just be good people.
And wash your hands.
And wash your hands, absolutely.
Thanks for listening, everybody. See you next time. Bye.
Goodbye.